Okay, cool. So first question is, how did Designer Drugs begin, and how long have you guys been around?
We've known each other since we were like in middle school. We both were into dance music and went to raves and stuff and had mutual friends. And I was DJing, he had some synths, so we kind of, started talking about music and then started working on music at his house when we were in high school. And
So you're going to eat?
and we originally started making drum and bass. Then good bit later, the whole electro clash thing happened. We started making electro, and the blog stuff started popping off. So we just kept doing a lot of remixes, and they kept getting featured on blogs, and we just started touring from there, I guess.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, for sure.
I'd say that we were just had mutual friends in high school and got together and started making music together. We've been working together ever since, maybe like 16 years or something. Yeah, a long time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really good. So I'm definitely curious, where does the name come from?
It's his.
The name was my idea. When I was in high school, I remember there was like an anti-drug book, and there was a chapter on designer drugs, and I was just like, oh, what's that? So I was really young, and I heard about that for the first time. And then later, right after Electro Clash was big, there was a new rave scene happening where they're kind of infusing like Electro Clash and indie rock, and with these like 90s rave sort of vibes. And I was like, yeah, we started the project then, and I was like, well, Designer Drugs kind of fits like the scene at the time, so that's why we went with the name. I just called him, I was like, hey, what do you think about the name? He was like, yeah, okay.
For sure.
Pretty much. I was a little worried, that we would be prevented from playing at shows because they didn't want to put that on the flyer, but we run into a small amount of that, but it hasn't been much of an interference.
For sure. Okay, so what's the process like for you guys when you go in to record and write a song together? Like, who does it generally start with? Like, is it...
I think a lot of times he starts because initially we weren't living in the same area.
Yeah.
So, he would kind of start an idea, and then I would link up with him and finish it, or sometimes vice versa. I would start an idea, and then we'd get together in the studio. But now we're kind of working simultaneously, because he was in college, so it was hard for us to work simultaneously. We lived in different cities. But now I think I'm trying to start pretty much everything.
Yeah, it always starts on one of our computers, and then we end up both sitting next to each other working on it at some point. It just varies. It depends on who's doing what.
Who's free time. For this recent album, we actually just finished and delivered to the record label yesterday. We pretty much finished them all together, so like at the end we'd be sitting there and being like, okay, cool, yeah, this is done, But before that, when he was in school, I would like try to finish it and send it back. He'd say, oh, you could tweak this, and this, and then I would tweak it, and like that. A lot of the remixes earlier that we finished together, it all depended on our schedules.
Yeah. Okay, so how did the song Space Base come about?
I started it.
Yeah, no, you started that. I think you like came up with that riff.
Yeah.
It was like a riff, and then there was like multi-layers and some drums. And then I was like, yeah, this drops super banging, and we had to write a breakdown.
And I think first the name was Space Base, and then we added an ED at the end of it later. Make it
Space Base.
I think it was just Space Base at first, and then we turned it into Space Base. We thought it sounded cooler.
Yeah,
No,
basically it came up with just the riff, like the drop riff.
Yeah.
And then we kind of worked backwards. We had the drop, and then we went to the breakdown and then the intro.
Yeah.
So.
A lot of times we end up starting with the drop or the song first and then the intro. It's like half and half, start with the drop, start with the intro.
For sure.
Yeah. It's like whatever you're feeling, come up with some point, like, oh, I'll switch a song out of this.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so you guys are signed to Ultra Records. What drew you guys to them more than any other label that's really out there right now?
Money.
Money.
No, it was weird. You know, we had. You know, I didn't know much about the record industry when we were looking to do an album. You know, we really wanted to do an album. We were thinking about releasing it ourselves, you know, because then we had full control over it and stuff. But then something happened. Ultra approached us, and it just made sense. You know what I mean? They're a big label. They're really great. So. Yeah, we just decided to go with them. You know, I couldn't think of any other label really that. I mean, there's maybe a handful of other labels that we were interested in, but
yeah, at the time it was like I don't even know. It's like we looked at Dim-Mak for a little bit, Fool's Gold and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Ultra was the one we ended up going with.
For sure. Awesome. So you guys recorded a song with Alvin Riss called "Empty Hearted." So how did that go about? How did you guys go about working with Alvin? Like, who approached who essentially?
We've known him for a long time from drum and bass for a long time, and he came up to my house in New York, and we started working on these tracks.
Yeah.
Which I ended up like kind of just saying like do whatever you want with them, you know. And he made that like his first thing. And then you know I was like, dude, we need to get back in the studio because we're doing an album, like let's do a collab. And he was all about it. So Theo started the song.
At first it was actually a parody song about me getting blowjobs.
Yeah.
But and I was singing it. It was a house beat. But then we redid it, and made it a little more serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the idea. I was like, it was kind of like a pop song. It was like an electro pop song. It was 4/4, no drops. You know, it wasn't like a dance formula really. It was kind of like a pop song. And I had the idea. I was like, you know, so what can we do with the song to make it the best possible? Like, you know, we should make it a dubstep because people like, you know, the real poppy stuff and then the heavy nasty drops.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, our friend Alvin's really killing the dubstep. I was like, dude, I'm up, you know, and sent him a song. And he thought about it, and then he just came up and we just worked on it from there.
Awesome. Very cool. So, I don't know how much we can describe of this, but the question is, what does your live setup look like in terms of mixers and decks and effects? Like, what's your gear of choice, I guess you could say?
Like for actually just DJing.
Yeah, for just DJing stuff.
Just real basic CDJs, Pioneer mixer, and Serato and microphone.
Cool.
Yeah. We haven't really had any strong incentive to do anything otherwise, really. It works for us. It's too difficult kind of for us being just a duo to have a big band and lug gear around. But it always crosses our mind. It'd be cool to do it someday.
Yeah. Once we have enough originals, I think we're going to try to do like a live set.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, we're getting kind of, you know, Serato and the CDJs, it gets kind of boring after like 10 years or so.
Yeah.
I kind of like it because it's you know, traditional DJing. You know, you have to beat match. And,
yeah.
You know, it's almost like playing on turntables, except you have the access to like a computer's worth of songs.
For sure.
So it's kind of like old school DJing mentality meets technology that
absolutely
can, you know, actually help you perform better.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still DJing, you know, a lot of people use Ableton and they use the sync on the CDJs.
Yeah.
Where they don't have to beat match, you know, they just play the songs and mix, which that's cool too, but, you know, I like the old school having a beat match tradition to DJ.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So touching on something you said earlier, I hear both house and dubstep influences throughout your music, all throughout different songs. So where do your influences range from, like, musically? So, I mean, that could be an EDM, but it could also be anything else you guys listen to.
I think the last album had a lot of outside influences. There's more rock, there's more guitars, drums, and stuff. And at the time, you know, that made sense to us. That's what we were feeling. And for this album, we were like DJing a lot. You know, we just wanted to make songs that we could DJ. We just wanted to make bangers and like dance songs for, you know, big bands. So I think that was kind of what we went for. We tried to not go too left field and take weird outside influence. We kind of just wanted to make like straight up dance music
Yeah.
in this album. So, and I think a lot of it just comes from our, just listening to electronic music our whole lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to like narrow the influence down to any one artist and stuff. I mean, it's like you said, dubstep and electro are big influences. Anything from classical music to jazz to whatever. It's hard to answer that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of different musical elements. There's some funky stuff, there's some classical sounding stuff, some rock sounding stuff, trance and stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
All different.
Awesome. Okay, so I asked this question to every single artist that I work with because it's always something that I get a really different answer for, and I'm curious to see what kind of answer I get from this. But so,
What is that? See that?
what is that?
Looks good. Oh, that's your fish? Yeah, that's yours.
There you go. Okay, so the question
What
is,
is the question?
what kind of message would you like fans and listeners to walk away with after listening to your music?
Oh man, that's such a tough question. Wait, repeat the question.
What kind of message would you like fans to walk away with after listening to your music?
Just
Party on!
Yeah, party.
It can be basic, like, yeah, that's totally fine, yeah.
Just, I don't know, to get pumped up, That's why if we listen to dance music, it's like whatever I'm doing, it's like to get like motivated. So, and a lot of people tell us that, like, dude, every time I go to the gym, I listen to your mixes. Whenever I'm working on my homework, I listen to your mixes of your music. I think a lot of people need to, motivation to get excited to do something.
Yeah, we have a lot of people come up and say that that they look up to us and they're their main reason for them getting into music and stuff. So stuff like that is really
That's awesome.
Shit like that is great. I don't know. Take home message. Just party responsibly, I guess.
No, that's all good.